Hello. There's already 2 people here. Did I put that as public? Maybe. Maybe I made a mistake. Oh, let me check that. This is supposed to be unlisted. Maybe I did it public. Well, if it was public anyway, I'll just leave it. But this is a John Lennon's class that I am giving on my Patreon, and I'm not sure if I did the right thing because I am not very good with internet stuff. Usually I do it unlisted on YouTube, but I can forget. And there's 18 people, so yes, that's public. So I made a mistake. This is supposed to be unlisted, and this class is exclusive for my Patreon, but I'm here already, so let's just do that. I'm actually just going to start blocking the body of John Lennon that I am making for my Patreon. I will not, I'll try not show his face because it's a surprise for you guys. So this is, I don't use Facebook, sweetheart, I just use the page. So this is the skeleton. I already put some toothpicks here, and this is what I tell my students to do. If you are already very familiar with proportions and stuff like that, you don't really need to do that. Oh, hold on, let me just record with the other camera, because these are going to be classes in the future. So if you're not very interested in sculptures, really, you don't need to watch that. That is really supposed to be an unlisted class and not public. But I made a mistake and I didn't put unlisted, and I don't know how to change that, so whatever, I'm just gonna keep on going. Okay, so today I'm gonna start blocking. Hold on, I have to put the camera here. I have 2 cameras right now. I record the videos with one of the cameras, and the other one I transmit live stream. And let's do that. Okay. So today we're gonna block John Lennon's body, and this is the skeleton for 18 centimeters. It does not come with those sticks. Let me show you guys how it comes with. It actually comes. Let me get a full one. It comes like this. This is the 18 centimeters, and it doesn't come with the bones of the members. We do have a 24 centimeters in the store that comes with the bones, but not the 18 centimeters. So we don't really need the bones, but if you are not very good with proportions, to keep the proportions of your sculptures, the bones really help for you to don't mess it up. But if you end up messing it up, or if you're scared and you still you don't want to mess up and you still are not very familiar with the proportions, this is what I do. I get a toothpick, not a toothpick, sorry, barbecue stick that is thicker. And I get my human proportions from Loomis. This is a male ideal proportion. YouTube probably will block my video because they used to block when I show this naked man image. The skeletons are available on the JLS store. It's in Brazil though, but it's the only place. I sculpt the skeletons myself, and I send them the sculpture, and they made a mold, and now they just reproduce a bunch of them, but it's my own sculpture. So what I do here to teach my students, if you're familiar, you don't need to do that. You can just bend the wire in the right place. But if you're not familiar with proportions and you tend to mess it up, get a toothpick, put in here, and measure. Get these measurements. This image is available on Google. You just put Loomis ideal proportions and you're gonna see it. So you just get from this part, this crotch here, from the bottom of the knee, and you make one stick, and you just mark and cut. Same thing here, and from the heel to here, it tends to be the same measurement. And then you measure shoulders from where we've bent our arms, and this part from where we bend our arms to the almost to the hand. I follow this line here, the same line. So you just cut the stick, the barbecue stick, and you place it in the right spot on the leg. So to know the right spot, you just measure the bone and the cavities and fit it all together. Usually the arm goes pretty good right there, the wire. And you just put the sticks in the knee. I usually cut like this, so I am still able to bend over the whole thing like that. And then you just put in there and wrap a thin wire around. You don't need to get a fancy wire. Like, I just got this very thin one from the dollar store. It's like a very cheap one. Just wrap around, and then you have a skeleton that just bend in the right spot, and then you won't mess up the proportions. And I also, this one is going to be sitting, so it's going to be John Lennon playing a guitar sitting on this chair. So I didn't leave a wire, because when I'm making standing, then I leave this wire down to make a hole in my base, and then it stands in there. But for this one, I just bend it like that because he's going to be sitting, so he doesn't need a wire, because he's not going to need to be firm in the base. The chair is firm. It has some, the wire keeps on going inside the base, so it's already firm enough to do that. So once I do that, I will work on his pose. And hold on, I put a bunch of stuff here because I was recording a video. This is the pose that I am going to do. Kind of this one. I'm not gonna follow like exactly everything. It's just an idea of what I want. Usually I don't follow exactly unless I have references for all the angles and it's gonna be really helpful, then I'll do it. But I only have this reference, and I will have to already imagine things and go for what I know about anatomy and stuff. So I won't be very concerned about following this pose exactly. I'm just gonna kind of like open his legs a bit, and he's not gonna be crossing his legs to play. Usually a lot of people cross their legs. He's not crossing, so I won't cross. There is another picture that he is crossing. I could cross. Hello guys, good afternoon. And I'm gonna kind of open and try to put his foot still on the floor. And if I think that my chair ended up too high, I can just make the holes here bigger and it can go down a bit, but I don't think it is, because this is the foot, but the foot doesn't need to be all straight like that. It can be like that. Yeah, actually I am teaching the full piece, but I'm not on YouTube. I'm teaching on my private classes on Patreon. On my Patreon. So it's $30 per month to watch my live streams, and you can have access to all the old ones and the new ones and future ones, and for $20 you get access to the recorded classes. There's different options that you can join me. And this one's supposed to be private in there, but I don't know, I forgot to put private, so I'm just letting it go. It's a new Patreon though, that doesn't have a lot of things. I just did it and I don't have a lot of people in there yet, so I'm just starting. So it's not a big deal that is coming in here. There's not that many videos. I just have like Amy Winehouse's full classes in there already, all available. And it's a likeness for her face. And now I'm making John Lennon live streaming all the process from the beginning. The face is ready. Do you guys want to see the face? Should I show you, or should it be a surprise? I'll show you with glasses. These glasses are not gonna come here, but yeah, this is, that's it, fast. And yeah, I made all the face in there, and I made the glasses, the chair, even the chair I showed. And yes, I'm gonna make the guitar as well. It's right here, but not in YouTube, guys. I will do that on Patreon, because this is how I make money. This is how I survive, is with my classes, okay? And also on Patreon you can support my work, doing a small amount of money that you can vote for the next sculpture. You can get to see my projects earlier. There's a lot of cool things. It's a very nice platform made for artists. It's pretty cool. Thank you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to block. This is always the first step for sculpting. We block our piece. So there's some options that if you want to use less clay, you can wrap around some tin foil here and tie it up. Or you can just go ahead and block it. There's also this tape that is pretty good if you're making the person, because if you're making a leg and it's not going to wear pants, you probably will want to wrap some of this tape around all the wire and stuff, because some parts of the leg can be very thin, and if you don't do that, it's going to be a little bit transparent and you're still going to be able to see the wire inside. So you can wrap around that tape. This is a floral tape. It's this kind of tapes that we make those fake flowers, and there's every kind of colors. You can buy in any craft store that makes flower stuff, and I go for the white so it doesn't get transparent. But he's gonna be wearing pants, so I won't worry about that. I'm just gonna go straight here and start blocking the sculpture. Let me just fix my cell phone and the camera here, because I need to be with the two of them in the same spot, kind of. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I will get a clay. This is PV clay. It's a Brazilian brand of polymer clay. It's my favorite because of it's very strong after baked. It's kind of harder to work it with at the beginning, but it's really strong after baked, so I keep using it. So yeah, once you have kind of the pose, it doesn't need to be perfect. You can still change after you put some clay on it. What I'm gonna do here is start putting this clay around the leg. And here we have to be very careful to avoid air between the clay and all this structure here, because if you leave air, when you put in the oven to bake, the air will start to fight to come out, because it's going to try to expand inside the clay, and it will come out and form some bubbles, kind of like bubbles marks all over your sculpture. So you really, really want to avoid all this air. Well, he's gonna have pants, so again, I'm not that concerned about it right now. But also something else that happen if you don't put the if you leave the air inside is that when you're sculpting, whatever there's air, it feels weird. It feels like you can absolutely easily move. It becomes harder for you to shape the clay when there's air inside. So it's really important to avoid the air. And I'm gonna wrap around the leg. And same thing with the other one. It doesn't have like you don't need to follow the order. You don't need to do one leg and then after the other one. You don't need to start from the leg. There's no really rules for sculpting. You just do whatever you feel like doing. It really, like, I'm just showing how I do, but doesn't mean that I always do like that. Usually I actually start from the body and don't even know I'm starting from the leg. So yeah, there's a lot of different techniques and ways to do it, and I usually don't allow myself to be stuck in one way to do it. I like to experiment new things and try different ways, see if I get better results, and then if I don't, I just go back to the way that worked better. So I'm just going to really, right now I'm not trying to give any shape. I'm pretty much just covering everything and avoiding air. So this is polymer clay. You have to bake it to get it hard. You can bake in your oven, just the oven you have in your house. If you work a lot with it, you may want to have to get an oven just for that, because it gets pretty stinky when you're baking. And don't be so close when you're baking. The smoke that comes from it can be toxic. So again, just going around the next leg. This is polymer clay. The brand I use is PV clay. That one. You can find it on JLS website as well. As also the skeleton is available in there with the skull and everything else, the eyes. There's a lot of things that help to fasten our work. And the good thing about the skeleton that I myself think, besides helping us to get some steps ahead and spend less time doing the sculpture, in my opinion, is that the skeleton ends up helping you to learn the right proportions, and then at some point you kind of get it inside your brain already, the right proportions, and you don't need it kind of start happening natural. You just put the leg there, and if you go to measure, you see it's already in the right proportion, because I don't know, you learn using the skeleton, so it kind of gets in there, gets in your brain like that. You're like a reference, start becoming that one. Because the harder part from sculpting, I think, it's getting the right proportions. Because you can study anatomy, and then you know the proportions. But if you don't have that really inside of you, once you start posing, you mess up the proportions. Because then you don't know, like, okay, but now he bent his knee like that. Where does the knee go? So you really have to know a lot of anatomy, or you have to be copying something. So you are copying like real proportions, like real person proportions. It's either that or really know a lot of anatomy and study it. There's always more to learn about anatomy. I don't know, at least for me, it's a forever learning, studying. Because it doesn't matter if you know the muscles and the bones and how does it goes with the T-pose, but once you start moving around, things just change. And they don't change exactly the same all the time for everybody. Depend on the person, how much body fat, and then it changes different. So yeah, it's always something to learn. So I have here, so I just covered the leg. I'm gonna put him sitting right there. I also printed out, I have a lot of paper here because I was recording a cool video that I'm preparing for you guys. It's a surprise too. So besides putting the proportion of the man, that is like average proportion, I also use John Lennon's, so I can see, I don't know, just see how thick he has his legs and arms and like his muscles a bit, his body shape a bit, to get more of his characteristics. It's not easy to find famous person, a very straight pose that it is like full body, but I did found this one. But it doesn't mean that it's absolutely right, because depending on the angle that the picture was taken, then it's deformed, right? Like if you look from the bottom, from the top, then you're gonna see a smaller head and longer legs, or the opposite can be too, like. So I don't know exactly what angle this picture was taken, so I can't fully trust on just this image. I can have an idea about his body and his own proportions, but I can't fully trust that. And so I get the average proportions beside him, try to match it up, and then I work with kind of a mix of the two of them. And yeah, like, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't. And this is the good and magical about sculpting. Doesn't matter how experienced you are, when you start a work, you're never sure about what you're going to get at the end. So I'm also going to put some foot here. Again, I am not going to put fingers or anything like that, especially because he's going to have shoes. So it's pretty much to make a shape, a basic shape right now. I'm just blocking, right? So even for the legs, I don't really need to make the full legs, because he's gonna have jeans, so I need a basic shape of a leg. Usually I end up making the full leg because I think it's good for me to practice and things like that, but you don't have to. You really just need to put like a basic shape. And always, if you're not sure, measure, because the foot is bigger than what we have in mind. Usually we tend, at least I do. I think it's kind of more common that people tend to make a smaller foot. We're not aware of how big our foot actually can be. And the foot is the same size of your arm here, that part of your arm. So you can either measure from here or from here, it's the same. I'm making a little bit smaller, but that's because I'm going to put shoes. So it's a clay shoe, so it's going to be a little bit thick. So I'm leaving some space that I can after cover with the right color of the shoes. I'm not even sure what shoes I'm going to put on him yet. I kind of let it go with, while I'm sculpting, I leave some decisions to be done while the sculpture is burning. Thanks, Hui. That's good. I'm recording here for also the DVD, so I can answer some questions and interact with you guys a little bit, but I don't usually stop what I'm doing to interact when I'm recording with the other camera. So when you guys need the interaction in class, I stop recording with the other camera and then I interact with you guys. So yeah, that's it. See, I don't really need a huge big perfection with the foot in here, so it's really a basic shape. And also when we are, because I just prepared this clay to work, so I was kneading the clay a lot to get all the air bubbles from the inside of it. So the clay ended up being very soft after you knead a lot. And what happened is it's harder to shape it because when it's soft, at least for me, I like a little bit firmer than that to work with. So what I do is I give it a very basic shape and I wait. I start doing something else, and what's going to happen here is that this clay is going to get a little bit harder. You can also put on the fridge, it helps. It's going to get a little bit harder, and then I come and give the better shaping after it's a little bit harder. So there we go. We have some sort of very skinny legs here, but at least it's not metal and a stick anymore. I'm gonna get a little bit of more clay and I'm going to give him some body. Something else that I could do here, and I'm not sure if I will do, but I could, is putting him on a standing base so I can hold him better. I don't really have to do it because he's gonna be sitting, so. So I'm just going to knead this dough, knead this clay, and I hope I send the right message on my Patreon so people will see. So guys, if you want to join these classes, and I come live stream pretty much every day. I don't have like a right time set because it's kind of an open studio, so every time that I'm sculpting John Lennon, I come live streaming, and the videos stay recorded so people can watch it after and they can follow it. And I have some students that will make him as well at the same time I'm doing. They're also watching the classes and doing their own John Lennon. So okay, so now I'm gonna put some belly in here inside this cavity and cover it. And what I do here with the skeleton, I mean, when you have the skeleton, or also you already have the skeleton all in your mind, the proportions and stuff, you don't really need to do that, but it's always good, doesn't hurt, is I leave some points in the bone that are marks for us to know where things goes. And the hip bone, the iliacal, is a very good one, so I leave those. I don't cover that and that, I leave it outside. I mean, I cover, but just at the end. And here. And here. And just on the back too. It's kind of like bending his body. It's not very straight. Oh, I still have to to turn his body. I just shaped the legs sitting. I didn't really turn his body very well. As I said, we can always move the pose, but once you start covering with clay, it's better already have the pose, because it can be a little bit hard to do the movement, and then you're going to end up smashing the part that you already sculpted if you are going to make like a huge gigantic change on your pose. So you can always do little bits and smash a little bit and fix it. So I think I don't have the guitar here, but what I can do, I do have the printing of the guitar, so I can cut it off just so I can measure it better, and this might help me with the pose. So I'm just gonna cut kind of this, not gonna be perfect with the shapes. I'm gonna cut like that. I have other printing, so I'm not worrying about make it perfect. I print this one so I can make the guitar, actually. But right now I just want an idea for his pose, and he's gonna be holding a guitar. So the best thing would be actually having the guitar already ready to go. But I still need to buy some material to make it, so I'm skipping that and doing according to what I have, because it's snowing a lot outside and I really don't want to go to the store to buy anything. So anyway, I'm gonna place him here. I might have to lower this chair a bit. I'm thinking it's kind of too high, which is good, because I was thinking that the chair is a bit too long legs. So yeah, I will lower that a little bit. So I'm gonna put him like that, because he was a tall guy. I looked at pictures and he was a tall guy, so his legs on the chair would kind of do this, actually, like stay a little bit up here because he was tall. So I might cut this a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna put the guitar right there, and it's gonna be kind of, that's how it goes, right? But this curve kind of goes in our leg. I'm not a musician, so I think his body is not facing like that. It's kind of twisting here. And hand is in there. Just gonna do this and put in here this hand. I'm not concerned about the arms, really. I just want to do the thorax right now. So kind of like this, and I believe that he is a little bit like this over his guitar, kind of with a curved leg to play. This is what I believe. I can always change after too. Maybe more like this. We'll see. I think that works good. Maybe it's too much. Okay, I'm gonna put his hips more to the back and make his back even more curved, kind of like more of a natural pose like this. So all these decisions that you make right now, they don't need to be definitive. You can always change a little bit after, but it's good to have like basic, roughly the right pose already. And all these decisions count to the end result. All these little decisions, like to give more movement. Okay, I can see now something. I think this shoulder is a little bit lower than this one, so maybe like this a bit. Well, I guess that's good enough. And as you can see, this is gonna keep on moving very easily until I fill up with clay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna give him some butt, otherwise he can't properly sit, and thicken his legs a bit. I'm just doing that because he's sitting. It doesn't need to be right now, but I'm gonna do it right now. So for the butt, I do kind of like 2 drops, 2 raindrops. It's a little bit bigger here. And yeah, this sculpture actually was pretty cool. I made his face in 2 hours and 25 minutes, I guess. Live streaming. It was pretty good result, and pretty fast. It was awesome. It was great to be live and get it so fast. So yeah, raindrops here. And again, I apologize for my English. I do a lot of mistakes. I hope I don't say anything super silly and that you guys laugh, but well, at least you guys laugh. So I put the raindrops right matching the bone in there, kind of like here, and it's kind of like this little bone in there. This is kind of like a bikini, you know, like stuck in the butt bikini. I use a lot of these terms to teach, like silly and not correct terms, for a couple of reasons. First, because I don't know all the terms in English. Second, because it's easier to the students to remember if you kind of play around. So yeah, it looks like it's a girl with a stuck bikini, but we're gonna fix that. So the difference between a male and a female butt is that the female has larger butt, the male have it small in here. So you just press it in and it's gonna become a male. All right. So yeah, and again, I'm not gonna be super concerned about that because we're just blocking all the muscles and stuff. We can fix it after. Right now I just want him to have the right height for the chair, and I am going to add some, let me think, I think I'm gonna add some leg muscle so he can actually sit and stay. Well, let me add an important part here that was very funny, because on the Fred Mercury video I didn't show it, and on Axl Rose video I did show it, and people were like, oh my gosh, you just put it on Axl Rose, Fred Mercury doesn't have one. So yeah, he does, but actually Fred Mercury has a pretty big one, and I didn't do it because it would look, people would just look at it instead of looking to the sculpture. Well, I'm not putting the peonies here, just a volume. And because there's a, I don't know if you guys noticed, let me take it off. There's actually a hole in here, and the penis goes a little bit lower, so you just put a volume. And why is that? So you're not going to mess up and put the leg in the right spot. Alright, so now I'm gonna get a little bit of clay and put some thickness on the leg, and maybe some hips. I think the hips, we can just pull the clay from the back and bring it in, because man, and John Lennon was a skinny guy, so doesn't have big hips anyway. Okay, now I'm gonna put some muscle leg, and the bigger muscle leg comes in here. I mean, it's not just one muscle. I work with volumes. I don't work with individual, like muscle by muscle. I go with volume by volumes. So it comes here. The leg insertion to the body, it's a little bit under the bone here. That's why I keep this bone here. And here is deeper than here. It kind of comes out, so we can bend our legs. And here around the knee, it's thicker. And I'm not gonna make it too thick again, because I want thinner than a real leg, because when we make jeans or pants, he's gonna be wearing jeans. When you make pants, you can't have the proportion of the jeans to a person, real size person, and a real size jeans. Obviously, it would need to be a very thin clay here that will be weak and very hard to work with. So we work with thicker clay to make the pants. So you need a little bit of space to work with the folding parts and stuff like that. You could absolutely just make the jeans on here. You don't need to make the legs and then add the jeans. You can just make this And once you have kind of like the basic shape of the leg, you can just start marking it like jeans and make the jeans from here. I don't know if I'm gonna do like that because I started sculpting with cold porcelain. That is an air-dried clay. So I learned to make things being ready because this is gonna get dried. So I would do the leg and then it would get dry. Then I'd have to add the jeans after. But now I'm working with different clay, so you don't need to do that. But sometimes I still do it because that's how I started sculpting and I got used to it. So dirty clay. Well, I could even keep the dirty clay because it's not gonna show, but it's good to have the habit to work clean. This polymer clay can get pretty dirty. Okay, and I really don't come live to do this on YouTube because I have a lot of people following my channel because they like to see the sculpture ready and the process fasten. And my students usually go to private classes, or there's some classes on YouTube, but usually they are edited, and I don't know, to be more interested and faster so people don't have to watch the full thing. Some people like, most of people don't like. So there you go. I just make it a little bit thicker, and then I think I'm just gonna leave like that. I'll decide that after. If I think it's too thin, then I'll add some more. I am not receiving all the messages. I'm not sure if anybody's saying anything or not, but right now I don't have any message popping on my cell phone, so I'm sorry if I'm not answering and if you guys are asking and I'm not answering, but it's not showing to me. So okay, so same thing as I did the other one, just to make it a little bit thicker. There are some things here that I really don't need to worry about because he's going to be having clothes, jeans and shirt and all covered, so we don't really need to build like a naked body to dress it after. So it would be good to study if you want to, but it's not necessary if you already know what you're doing and you want to work faster and be able to do more stuff, then you really don't need to worry about that. So here I'm adding some extra clay on the leg, which I didn't really need because it's not going to show, but sometimes I do that. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to sit him again, and I'm going to start covering his chest and all his body. I'm going to get more clay, and I will just put on a side here and get my glass. So my table is made out of glass. I usually put a paper on top so it avoids the light reflection. I don't know if there is a light reflection. That is in the camera. I don't think in the phone there is. I'm going to make a ball and squeeze the ball, and then I'm going to get my tool roller. Can be this one, can be other ones, doesn't matter. There's different kinds. I'm going to roll it and open the clay a bit. So it doesn't need to be too thin, just just enough to cover the chest and stuff. And here the good thing is that we can do the arm after, so you can just put it up. There's somebody saying things that I can't understand, just symbols. I think it's just somebody making fun, but anyway. I'm gonna cover. And if it's a very skinny person, it's good because you can still press and you can still see the bones in there, because some people show their bones, right? Some people do not. And I'm just gonna cover it all. You can even cover the bone right now. It's gonna still show here. It's very pointy. Just wrap him around. And that's it. You can end up with some more clay in one side, some in the other one, but kind of like spread it out. Again, I'm not looking for perfection and perfect anatomy right now. And because it is a person that is going to be with shirts and everything else, and we don't need to worry about showing his belly muscles or anything like that, so we don't need to keep the proportions until the end. Like if I'm doing a shirtless man, then I'll probably try to keep some parts of the bones showing more until I'm actually absolutely done. But it's not, so we don't need to make a belly button, we don't need to make the belly muscles, we don't need to do any of that. Especially because there's a guitar back there. But if you want to feel more secure, or can be able to look and see something cool in your sculpture, then go ahead and add details to it. It's never too much to add more stuff than you actually need, because it's always learning, right? We always practice when we do that. And I always like, it's never I don't know, it always goes depend on my mood, depend on how fast I need something to be done. And sometimes sorry, somebody said something I couldn't read and it disappeared really fast from me. So it always depends. If I want to work very fast, oh my gosh, I'm so bad with this scale. I don't think we have 112. I think the smaller one we have is 110. I think it's 110. That is this one I'm using is 1 to 10 is 18 centimeters. So I mean it's 1 to 10 if the person is 1.8. Right? Okay. Okay, there's a silly guy in here. So yeah, from here to the leg there's a little bit of a space. Obviously he's bending his legs, so it depends on how big his leg muscle is to be higher or lower. We can always add that after. We don't really need to add right now. And that volume I put there is gone, so I'm just gonna put it a little bit more. I think I do, but I don't really know how to use it, but it doesn't bother me. This is so like, I don't know, I'm 41 years old. This is really, just ignore and keep on class. Doesn't make any difference of what they're saying. I try to just read what you guys are asking. Alright, so I am going to put some volume here. Not a lot, but some. We can always also add these volumes to the jeans, to the pants. We don't really need to do it right now. Alright, so now I'm gonna put some belly. And again, we can always look to this image here so we can follow I'm just going to be more concerned when we get to the arms, the parts that are actually going to show. So I'm not really going to be concerned about parts that won't show too much. I will put some volume here so we don't get the guitar stuck inside the belly that would be here. So it's kind of a good idea to do that. To have like real volume so you don't get an object stuck into there because you didn't add the belly, but it's impossible that a person would not have a belly in there, so you end up putting the object or whatever is in the wrong spot. And the bell is more in the center, so otherwise it looks like it's pregnant. So it's just to give like some volume to the doll. It doesn't need to be perfect at all. And here also, you don't need to put any marks, you don't need to make a chest or anything, but we are gonna need to put some the right size of it. So it's too skinny here, we're gonna need to add some part of it, but for now I'm just blocking, so I won't worry about that because I'm really just blocking the sculpture. And that's good. Now I am going to need to put his head. So whatever, I'm just going to show. I wanted to make a secret for you guys, but not everybody will watch this video anyway. So that's his face. And I'm going to... There is a liquid clay here. It is a gel that I use. It's from PV Clay as well. This is just the same clay that I'm using, but liquid. Same thing. And I'm going to add in there. This is just to make sure that the wire is going to be surrounded by something and it won't have air in there. I'm going to put in here. It's kind of too close, the cell phone. It's hard for me to... Let me try to get farther a bit. There we go. I'm gonna take my jacket off. It's getting cold in my studio, hot in my studio. Okay, so now that I have that, I will put the neck. So I'm just getting some clay. And okay. See here, I'm going. These glasses are not gonna stay here, and probably will make some transparent glasses. They're not even stuck, I can remove them. I'm just going to put some clay here. I'm trying to bring a little bit higher because I think if I leave the head, touch all the way down, it's going to be a short neck. And for the neck, the male's neck, it's thicker than the female neck. And something else is like people tend to make thin necks, and the neck is almost the same thickness as the head. So watch out about don't make a very thin neck. I'm just gonna cover again. I am still not giving all the shapes. This is the name of what I'm doing here is I'm blocking. So blocking is adding clay to your structure, to your armature, and getting ready to give the details. So this is just blocking. Something else I have to add about the neck is that the neck also always it's inclinated to the front. Avoid putting the neck straight up because you'll take the movement out away from your sculpture, unless the person is throwing her body out and like making a movement, a dance movement, and the neck it is going to the back. But usually a regular pose, our neck is it's inclinated to the front. Okay, so here always to the front, and the neck meets our face kind of halfway through over chin and jawline. It's halfway, and it's not like a perfect angle. Well, you can do an angle when you're blocking, but then you have to add also some inclination in here before you consider it ready. Right now I'm kind of I just want to get this stuck in here, and I'm just concerned about the air bubbles. So trying to look about the right thickness and avoiding air bubbles. I'm placing now in here. So here is too thick. Either here, yeah, here's too thick, so. Okay. There. Maybe this neck is too thin. I can always bring it up if I think it's too thin and make it longer. And then once the clay is a little bit harder, I'll just add more clay there. So yeah, I guess this is good for now, at least. And he's going to be looking guitar. Nope, that's not the guitar. I cut it. There's another guitar here. Right here. Guitar. Kind of like there. And I don't know, he can be looking here, here, here. I can change that too. Nothing right now is a definitive decision. You can always change it after. Okay, I think this leg is too thin here. I'm gonna add some more mass to it, some more volume. Even though I could just add that to the jeans, doesn't really necessarily need to be done right now. But if you like blocking closer to the body, then just add right now. There we go. I'm not gonna add shoulders because I still want to be able to move the arms, and I'm just gonna do the shoulders and stuff when I have the guitar right in the place, the right guitar, because then I can place his arms according to the guitar. And what I'm gonna do now, probably after I block, I think it's enough blocking, is I'm gonna check on his pose again, make sure that I got everything I liked, make sure that this is what I want to keep, and pose it, and then I'm gonna bake it. So I can add the jeans and stuff like that with the sculpture already baked and easier to manipulate. That's how I do. Some people just go straight and don't bake anything. But before baking, I always like to check on the pose and see if that's what I want, if that's what I like, and then I bake it. When I decided that, yeah, that's what I want, that's what I like, and I go and bake it. So just adding a bit of more clay here. It doesn't really need to be exactly the same here, just about, because even after baking, I can always add more clay. I can always remove clay too. I can cut the clay with my knives, and I can sand it. So it doesn't need to be perfect. I always avoid to put too much clay because cutting is harder than removing. Cutting is harder than adding clay after. So I try to block thinner than what I think that I want the sculpture to be. Okay, so yeah, that's it for now, at least. And here is something that we may have that we can add. Well, we don't need to add, like, really. I'm adding extra stuff that we really don't need to, just because I think his belly turned out kind of big. He's gonna have a shirt here. Maybe it's just because the leg is too thin, then it feels like the belly is big. I don't know, could be, but it doesn't matter because this is all gonna be shirt and the guitar is gonna be right in front of him here. So yeah, this is good. This is good enough. And now I'm gonna go and bake that so I can come back and start with other things, maybe putting his jeans on or his shoes. Usually what I do is I bake that part after I pose it, and then I'll do the shoes and then jeans, and then kind of start going up because the arms are the last ones. So once the jeans are ready, I can put the guitar over the jeans because this is where it is gonna go for Rio, and then I actually can make the shirt without arms and then add it. And I don't know, it always changes and depend on the pose, depend on what you have ready, what you don't have ready. So that's it, guys, for now. I am going to bake it, and I will bake for about this amount of clay, 25 to 30 minutes, because it's going to go back to the oven after. I probably will do 30 minutes. And the oven is 275 Celsius degrees, or 130, no, opposite, sorry, 130 Celsius degrees or 275 Fahrenheit degrees for about 30 minutes. Then I'm ready to continue it. Okay, well, this was an extra free class that was an accident. Actually, it's supposed to be unlisted on my Patreon. This is a day of class that I'm making this John Lennon live streaming, and all the videos are available on Patreon, so people can watch it after, later, or watch the past videos that I already did. It's all in there, and you guys are welcome to join me. All right? See you all, see the Patreon guys, my actually students. Maybe even today. Let me see, what time is it? I'm not sure. 2 o'clock? Probably not today because I have to bake that and I have to pick up my kids at school. So probably just tomorrow. And see you guys for the next class. And hope to see you all in my YouTube anyway. I will be posting other videos on YouTube as well. Bye-bye, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming.